Ladies and gentlemen, there is a secret that lives within you. It's not out in the world, and it doesn't require struggle, sacrifice, or waiting. It is the way you speak to yourself, the conversations you have in silence, the whispers behind your thoughts, the assumptions you carry in your inner world. Change that voice for just 3 days, and your entire reality will begin to shift. For just 3 days. Speak as if your desire is already yours. Think as if the life you want is already unfolding. Act as if the future you dream of is now your present. Talk to yourself like the version of you who has already won. Let me show you how. When you assume it is already done, you step into a dimension of power that the world often overlooks. You are no longer begging for change or waiting for a sign. You are living from the state where the desire has already been fulfilled. This is not about pretending or playing make-believe. It is about embodying a deeper truth. That imagination creates reality. And your assumption, when felt with conviction, is the seed of your new world. Every time you say, "I want," you push the desire into the future. You reinforce the idea that you do not yet have it. But when you say, "It is mine," and truly feel the truth of that statement, you collapse time. You bring the end result into the now. You begin to live in the vibration of the thing already done. This is the secret. This is the power. You are not attracting it. You are assuming it. And what you assume to be true with full belief must show itself in the outer world. Your mind may resist. It may say, "But I don't see it yet." And that is where you must learn to turn away from appearances. The world outside is only a reflection of your past thoughts, your past beliefs. It is the mirror, not the cause. If you continue to assume lack, the mirror reflects lack. But if you dare to persist in assuming abundance, joy, health, love, then the mirror has no choice but to change. It must show you what you are now assuming. Let your assumptions become your inner dialogue. Wake up in the morning and say, "Today I walk as the person who already has everything I once desired." Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for proof. Make the assumption the proof. Speak from it, think from it, and let your actions reflect it. If you wanted to be someone successful, how would that version of you carry themselves? How would they speak? What would they think in quiet moments? Begin to assume that you are already them. Don't ask how it will happen. The how is not your concern. The assumption is. The moment you assume it is already done, you quiet the restless energy of doubt. You stop searching and start receiving. You don't need to chase what is already yours. You begin to move through life with calm confidence because your inner world has already claimed it, and the world must eventually catch up. This is not a technique to try for a day and then abandon. It is a state of being. You assume it, and then you live it. Every time you feel the urge to return to the old story of not having, of waiting, of hoping, remind yourself, "I already have it." Feel the reality of those words. Let them settle deep in your chest. Let them become your default position, your new identity. Most people look around and say, "This is real." But few understand that what's real is what they continuously accept as true within. The inner world is the projector, the outer world the screen. Change the real of your mind and the picture must shift. Assume you are already healed. Assume you are already in love. Assume you are already successful, and then walk as though it is so. The world may not reflect it immediately, but it must, eventually. Hold the assumption with faith, with feeling, and with persistence, not as a wish, but as a knowing. You are not asking the world to change. You are changing yourself. And when you do that, the world has no choice but to follow. Speak to yourself not as someone who is hoping, but as someone who is remembering. You are simply remembering what is already yours. It is done. It is done. It is done. It is done. Doubt is the silent thief that robs us of our manifestations before they ever take form. It sneaks in quietly, often dressed as logic, realism, or caution. It tells us we're not ready, that we're asking for too much, that we've failed before and will likely fail again. It sounds convincing because it wears the voice we're familiar with, our own. But doubt, when left unchecked, becomes a constant companion that delays and destroys. The moment it arises, it must be rewritten, not ignored, not debated, but rewritten with faith. Faith is not passive. It is not a weak hope. It is a decision, a bold declaration of certainty in the unseen. When doubt says, "You don't see it, so it must not be working," faith responds, "I don't need to see it to know it's real. My assumption is enough." When doubt whispers, "It's taken too long," faith replies, "Time is an illusion. The outcome is already mine." This internal dialogue must become your default response. You don't allow doubt to speak louder than your desire. You let faith take the microphone and command the stage. You are not a victim of your thoughts. You are their master. Every time a fearful thought arises, you have the choice to accept it or replace it. If you accept it, you give it power. You water it, feed it, and let it grow. But if you catch it and rewrite it with faith, you starve the doubt and fuel your vision. Faith is the language of creation. It doesn't argue. It doesn't negotiate. It simply knows. You must begin to train your mind to interrupt doubt as soon as it appears. If you think, "What if I'm not good enough?" stop immediately and say, "I am more than enough. Everything I need is already within me." If you hear, "This dream is too big," counter it with, "This dream is mine for a reason, and I wouldn't desire it if I weren't meant to live it." Faith is not always loud, but it is firm. It doesn't waver with circumstances. It holds its ground, even when nothing seems to be happening. Your words are spells, and your inner dialogue is the incantation that shapes your life. Every time you choose faith over fear, you are rewriting your subconscious programming. You are replacing years of limitation with a new truth. This process may feel unnatural at first, even forced, because doubt has been your familiar companion. But the more you choose faith, the more it becomes your natural response, and eventually it becomes who you are. Faith must be practiced. You don't need perfect belief to start, just willingness, just the decision to no longer agree with the voice that tells you you can't. When you wake up, speak faith. When you're challenged, speak faith. When the evidence doesn't match the vision, still speak faith. Say, "Everything is working out for me. The universe is rearranging itself in my favor. I am on the right path, and my desire is manifesting now." This inner rewriting is your true work. More than action, more than effort, it is your moment-to-moment choice to believe in what is not yet visible. You are not waiting for proof. You are creating it. Each thought you rewrite is a brick laid in the foundation of your new reality. You cannot build a mansion on a foundation of doubt. You must tear out the old and rebuild with faith as your cornerstone. Every time you feel the pull of worry or fear, see it as a call to return to truth, to remind yourself who you are and what you are capable of. You are the writer of this story. Doubt may try to write the next chapter, but you hold the pen. And if you will keep choosing faith, calmly, boldly, relentlessly, the story will unfold exactly as you desire, because nothing can stand in the way of a mind that believes without question. To speak as the end result means to stop identifying with the version of you that is trying, hoping, or waiting, and to begin embodying the version of you who has already arrived. Most people speak from their current circumstances. They say things like, "I'm working on it. I hope it happens," or "One day I'll get there." These words may seem harmless, but they reveal a mindset that keeps the desire out of reach. When you speak like someone in pursuit, you remain in pursuit. But when you speak like someone who already possesses what they once desired, the world responds to that certainty. Your words are a reflection of your inner state, and they carry immense creative power. When you begin to talk from the end, when you start affirming, describing, and thinking from the position of already having, it signals to your subconscious mind that the desire is not a possibility, but a reality. And the subconscious does not question, it simply accepts and mirrors that truth back into your experience. The person who already has success doesn't say, "I hope to make it," They say, I'm grateful for the abundance that flows into my life. The one who is already loved doesn't ask, when will I find love? They declare, I am loved. I am cherished. I am in a beautiful relationship. This shift in language, though subtle, changes everything. It moves you out of lack and into possession. It tells your mind that there is nothing to chase because it's already done. It calms the energy of striving and replaces it with the energy of gratitude, peace, and fulfillment. And that energy is magnetic. It draws the outer world to match the inner reality you've chosen to speak from. To master this, you must become aware of the way you talk, not just out loud, but silently in your thoughts. If you catch yourself saying, I'm still trying to become successful, pause and replace it with, I am already successful. I live in alignment with abundance. If you find yourself thinking, I'm not there yet, shift it to, I have arrived. Everything I once wanted is now part of my reality. These aren't just empty affirmations. They are declarations of identity. And the more you repeat them with feeling, the more your subconscious accepts them as fact. Speaking as the end result is not about faking confidence, it's about aligning with truth. Your desire exists now in the unseen, and your words are the bridge that bring it into form. If you continue to speak like the person who is waiting, the bridge remains unfinished. But if you begin to speak like the person who already has, the bridge completes itself, and your reality shifts to reflect your inner world. Let your words match the life you want, not the one you're trying to escape. Talk as if the door has already opened. Describe your life from the place you wish to be, not the place you're currently standing. Say, I am healthy even when the symptoms haven't disappeared. Say, I am wealthy even if your bank account hasn't caught up yet. Say, I am living my dream life even if the evidence isn't clear. Why? Because reality is shaped by what you consistently affirm, not what you observe in a single moment. Your current circumstances are the result of yesterday's assumptions. If you want something different tomorrow, you must speak differently today. You must become fluent in the language of fulfillment, not lack. Every time you speak as the end result, you are casting a vote for the future you want to live. And if you keep casting those votes day after day, your world will eventually mirror your words. Because to speak as the end result is to live as if the promise is already kept. And when you live in that way, the promise must be fulfilled. Your inner conversation is the silent architect of your reality. It's the voice that never stops speaking, the constant whisper shaping how you feel, what you believe, and what you ultimately experience in the world. Most people are unaware of just how powerful this voice is. They let it run wild, filled with doubt, fear, and insecurity, never realizing that these repeated thoughts are writing the script of their lives. But once you recognize this power, you can begin to direct it. You can choose to make your inner conversation your greatest ally by shifting it from fear to trust. Fear speaks in limitation. It says, what if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? These thoughts often feel automatic because they've been repeated for years, often without question. They feel familiar, even comforting in their predictability. But familiarity doesn't equal truth. Just because a thought has been repeated many times doesn't make it real. It only becomes real when you believe it and feel it. This is where the shift begins. Not in trying to suppress fear, but in choosing trust instead. Trust is the voice of your higher self. It is the calm, steady knowing that all is unfolding in your favor, even if you can't yet see how. Trust says, it's already done. Everything I need is within me. I am always guided and supported. These aren't just feel-good phrases. They are tools that rewire the subconscious mind. When you repeat them with intention, you begin to replace old, fear-based patterns with new empowering beliefs. The more often you choose trust in your inner dialogue, the more your emotional state shifts, and that emotional state becomes your vibration. your signal to the universe. You cannot control every thought that pops into your mind, but you can decide which ones you engage with. When a fearful thought arises, don't fight it, observe it, and then speak back with trust. If your mind says, "You're not ready," respond with, "I am prepared and capable." If it says, "Things always go wrong," reply, "Everything is working out perfectly for me." Make this a daily practice. Let your self-talk become a conversation with the reality you wish to live in, not the one you're trying to escape. This inner shift is not something you do once and forget. It is a discipline, a gentle redirection of your focus throughout the day. When you catch yourself thinking in fear, that is not failure, it is opportunity. It is your chance to choose again. And every time you choose trust over fear, you strengthen a new pathway in your mind. You build a new identity. You become someone who lives from faith, not doubt. And the world, in turn, begins to reflect that identity. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to someone you love deeply. Be patient, kind, and encouraging. Stop criticizing yourself for not being further along. Remind yourself that you are exactly where you need to be, and that everything you desire is unfolding with precision. Let your inner voice become your coach, your supporter, your guide. Let it lift you instead of limit you. Every great transformation begins within, and the most powerful place to start is with your own inner words. Make them intentional, make them loving, make them faithful. When you do, your entire energy changes, and that energy becomes the magnet that draws everything you've been asking for. You don't need to force the outer world to shift. You only need to shift your conversation with yourself. When fear speaks, answer it with trust. When doubt appears, replace it with certainty. And when your old self tries to return, gently remind it that a new voice is now in charge, the voice of belief, of clarity, and of unwavering faith. Words alone are not enough. You can repeat affirmations from morning until night, but if your heart remains unmoved, those words remain hollow sounds. True transformation comes when you feel the words you speak, when each affirmation is infused with deep, sincere emotion. Emotion is the fuel that activates your subconscious mind. It's what tells the inner world, this is not a wish. This is real. Without feeling, your words are like seeds thrown on dry ground. But when feeling is present, the soil becomes fertile, and the seeds take root. Your subconscious mind does not respond to empty repetition. It responds to the intensity behind what you say. If you declare, "I am abundant," but feel anxious about money, the feeling of lack overrides the statement. The key is not to force yourself to believe something instantly, but to bring your emotions into harmony with what you want to affirm. Begin slowly, with intention. When you say, "I am successful," pause and ask yourself, what does that feel like? Imagine the ease, the confidence, the satisfaction. Let those feelings rise and merge with your words. That is the moment transformation begins. You don't have to wait for external results to feel the truth of your affirmations. In fact, it's the opposite. You must feel the reality before it shows up. You must embody the feeling of being the person who already has what they want. If your affirmation is, "I am in a loving relationship," then don't just say it. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and feel the warmth of love. Imagine the connection, the comfort. Let that emotional frequency pulse through you as you speak the words. That is what imprints the belief into your subconscious. Emotion is the language of the unseen world. It's what connects you to the vibration of your desire. When you affirm something with passion, joy, and certainty, you become magnetic to it. You shift your energy, and everything begins to rearrange to match your new state of being. But this can't be faked. The emotion must be genuine, even if only for a few seconds at first. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Filling the words you speak is a skill, and like any skill, it strengthens with use. If you find it hard to feel the emotion of your affirmations, start by recalling times in your life when you felt something similar. If you're affirming confidence, remember a time you felt powerful. If you're affirming peace, recall a moment of calm and stillness. Use your memory to awaken the emotion and then attach it to the new statement. The mind may doubt the words, but the body remembers the feeling, and the body doesn't lie. As you move through your day, let your affirmations be more than just a mental exercise. Speak them with presence. Feel them in your chest, your gut, your whole body. Let them move you. Let them become real in your inner world. This is not about pretending. It's about aligning. When your words and emotions agree, you become a powerful creator. You no longer speak about the life you want. You begin to live it from within. Every affirmation you speak is a choice, a declaration, a moment of alignment. And when you infuse it with emotion, you tell the universe, this is who I am now, not someday, not maybe, now. And the universe, which always mirrors your inner state, has no choice but to reflect that reality back to you. So feel it, believe it, let your words vibrate with power, because when your affirmations are felt, they are no longer just words, they become the creative force that shapes your destiny. The world will always have something to say. Voices of doubt, criticism, fear, and logic will try to dictate what you should want, how you should act, and what is or isn't possible for you. But if you allow the noise of the outer world to override the quiet certainty of your inner truth, you will find yourself lost, scattered, and unsure. The path to fulfillment isn't paved by the opinions of others. It's built from the unwavering loyalty you have to your own inner vision. Silence the outer noise, because the world around you is only a reflection of the beliefs you hold within. If you stay true to the unseen, it must become seen. Your senses are constantly feeding you information, what you see, what you hear, what you touch. But those impressions are nothing more than the echo of your past thinking. They are not final, they are not fixed, they are not the authority. If you give them too much attention, you start to believe that the current facts of your life are permanent. You start to shrink your dreams to fit the shape of what already is, instead of expanding your mind to match what can be. What appears on the outside is not the end, it is just a mirror, and mirrors reflect what is shown to them. Change the inner state, and the reflection must change. To live by inner truth means you must close your ears to the world's distractions and open your heart to the voice within. That voice may not scream or demand attention. It speaks in quiet knowing, in gentle confidence, in the stillness between thoughts. It tells you this is already yours. It tells you you are worthy. It tells you don't worry about how. It is done. That inner voice is your compass, your source of guidance. But if you're constantly checking the world to see if your desire has arrived, you'll lose the signal. You'll drown in the noise of delay, comparison, and fear. People around you may not understand your vision. They may call it unrealistic, foolish, or impossible. But it is not their vision, it is yours. And what lives in you is placed there for a reason. Your job is not to explain or justify it to anyone. Your job is to hold it with such devotion that it becomes more real to you than anything else. Ignore the timeline. Ignore the appearances, ignore the opinion. Speak your desires silently and with conviction. Walk through life as if what you want has already occurred, and you will begin to feel the power of creation move through you. Staying loyal to your inner truth does not mean denying the world. It means choosing not to be ruled by it. It means seeing the facts but refusing to bow to them. It means holding your inner state steady even when the outer world is screaming contradiction. This is true strength. This is real mastery. When the world tells you it's over, but your heart whispers it's just beginning, follow your heart. When circumstances appear stuck, but your imagination shows movement, believe the imagination. That is where your future is born. The outer noise will tempt you to quit, to second guess, to play small. But nothing outside you holds your power. Everything you need is already inside. When you silence the noise, you can hear the truth. And the truth is this: the life you desire is not only possible, it's waiting for you to claim it. Not by effort, but by assumption. Not by struggle, but by inner alignment. Let the noise fade. Let the doubts dissolve. Trust the whisper of your soul more than the shout of the world. The unseen is more real than the seen, and what you remain loyal to internally must eventually become your outer experience. When you begin to speak as though your desire is already yours, when you feel the words you affirm and remain loyal to the unseen vision within you, something powerful begins to unfold. The signs start to show. The world starts to respond. You begin to notice subtle shifts, unexpected moments, divine timing, and undeniable synchronicities. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. They are the physical world rearranging itself in response to your new inner state. You've changed your frequency, and now reality must follow. But here's the key. You must expect these signs to come. You must watch for them with the same anticipation a child feels on the night before a gift is received. You must not hope timidly, but expect boldly. The universe is exact, and it responds to the energy of certainty, not desperation. When you walk through the day with a quiet confidence, knowing that what you've asked for is already on its way, you begin to see the world reflect that certainty. The word someone says, the opportunity that randomly appears, the perfect timing of a conversation. These are signs that your assumption is working. They're small previews of the full manifestation. Signs are not just symbolic, they are energetic confirmations. They are the echoes of your inner world reaching you in forms you can touch and recognize. When you start speaking from the end, your words hold the frequency of the outcome, and that frequency sends out a signal. The response comes as signs. You might overhear a conversation that reflects your exact desire. You might see the very thing you want in a movie or dream about it vividly. You might meet someone who holds a missing piece of your vision. These are not meaningless. These are responses. And your job is to notice, appreciate, and stay in the flow of belief. The biggest mistake people make is ignoring the signs or dismissing them as wishful thinking. But what you consider just a coincidence is often the universe whispering, you're on the right track. If you doubt the signs, you cut off their flow. But if you acknowledge them, if you feel gratitude for them, they multiply. Reality rushes forward when you say, yes, I see it, I believe, keep going. Your belief speeds up the momentum. Don't look for signs from a place of lack or impatience. Don't ask, where is it? Why hasn't it shown up yet? That posture slows things down. Instead, be still and alert. Keep your inner state aligned with your desire. Assume it's done, feel it real, and walk in that truth. The signs will come, not because you chase them, but because you have aligned with a version of you who naturally experiences them. The more you trust the process, the more frequent and vivid the signs become. You'll begin to notice them every day. A stranger repeating a phrase you've been affirming, a sudden invitation, a number or image that holds personal meaning to you. All these are pieces of the puzzle, and they're being delivered to show you that what you've asked for is not only possible, it's already forming in the invisible, and parts of it are already visible. You don't need to make it happen. You only need to stay in alignment with the end you've claimed. The signs are proof that your inner voice is being heard, that your words, when felt and believed, are creating. And as the signs increase, so does your faith. Let the outer world reveal what you already know within. Expect the evidence to follow your voice, because your voice is shaping the future. And when you live in expectation, life rises up to meet you in ways more miraculous than you can imagine. When you talk to yourself with intention, emotion, and unwavering belief, you become the master of your reality. For just 3 days, if you can commit to speaking only from the end result, ignoring doubts, rewriting fear with faith, feeling your words as if they were truth, you will begin to feel a shift within you so powerful that the outside world must follow. Make your inner voice your greatest ally. Let your assumptions speak louder than appearances. Let your self-talk declare that it is already done. Watch how life begins to move, how signs start to appear, and how your inner world takes form in the outer. This is not a game of chance. It is a law. Stay loyal to your internal truth. Speak only what you choose to experience and feel it deeply. In 3 days, you will not only believe differently, you will become different. Speak like the person who already has it, and you'll soon live like them too. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a hidden power within you, silent, invisible, and waiting. You've been told the universe is outside of you, responding to your hopes, prayers, and desires. But the truth is more radical. The universe doesn't move until you do, not physically, but internally. Until you shift from within, nothing outside will bend. You are the key, and when you finally understand how to turn it, everything will open. Imagination is not a passive daydream or an idle mental picture. It is the creative act itself. It is the first movement in the process of manifestation, the unseen force that shapes and molds the substance of reality. Everything you now experience, everything surrounding you, began first as an image within consciousness. The clothes you wear, the room you're in, the life you're living, all of it was once imagined by you or by someone else. The secret is not merely in wishing or hoping, but in imagining deliberately and believing faithfully. When you close your eyes and see yourself already in possession of your desire, you are not escaping reality, you are creating it. The outer world is slow to catch up, yes, but it must follow the command of the inner image. This is the first motion, the quiet, powerful act of creation. Most people think reality begins with action or effort, but the truth is that nothing ever happens until it happens first in the mind. Man cannot rise above what he fails to imagine. Your world can only stretch as far as your imagination allows it. What you hold persistently in your inner eye, what you dare to feel as true, sets the entire universe in motion. This is why some people appear lucky, as if everything comes easily to them. They may not realize it, but they are constantly imagining themselves in fortunate, empowered positions. Their inner conversations support the life they want, not the one they fear. On the other hand, many imagine worst-case scenarios, failure, lack, and disappointment. And because imagination is the first cause, these too must appear. To begin changing your life, you must first change what you imagine. Do not underestimate the simplicity of this act. When you imagine something with intention and feel it deeply, you are not pretending. You are initiating a real event in the unseen. In that moment, you are sowing seeds into the fabric of reality. The world you see is just the harvest of your past imaginal activity. If you do not like the fruit, you must plant new seeds. Sit quietly and imagine yourself already in the possession of your desire. If it is wealth, see yourself living in abundance. Feel the ease of it. Hear the sounds of financial freedom around you. If it is love, feel the warmth of connection, the presence of being cherished. Imagination is not limited to sight. It is a full sensory experience. When you feel what you imagine, you activate it. This inner act must be done with faith. Doubt is a contradiction to imagination. When you imagine and then question it, you halt the process before it takes root. You must trust that this invisible act is the most powerful act you can take. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, you will find that imagining your ideal life feels more real than your current situation. When that happens, you have already moved, and reality will begin to shift around you. The world does not create your imagination creates the world. Every advancement, every miracle, every change in human history has first occurred in someone's imagination. It is not fiction, it is blueprint. It is not fantasy, it is the foundation. You cannot manifest anything unless you are first willing to see it in your mind and claim it as already yours. You must dare to imagine boldly, persistently, and without apology. Imagination is the spark that lights the fire of creation. It is the brush that paints your future, and it is the first signal to the universe that you are ready to receive. Nothing moves until you move inwardly, and when you do, the whole universe bends in your favor. Feeling is the hidden force behind every manifestation. It is the activation switch that turns imagination into reality. Without feeling, your desires remain as hollow images. visuals with no power, no magnetism, no life. You may imagine the most beautiful scenes, the most successful outcomes, but if you do not feel them as true, they do not take root. The universe responds not to your wishes, not even to your words, but to the emotional tone you dwell in. That tone, the dominant feeling you carry within you, is what calls your desires into form. To feel something as if it were already real is to impress it upon the deeper layers of your being. When you feel a thing deeply, consistently, and with conviction, it becomes a living part of your consciousness. And consciousness is what molds your world. Think of feeling as the electrical current running through the image you imagine. Without it, your desire is a light bulb that never turns on. It is present, it exists, but it has no glow, no power to affect anything. Once you infuse that image with genuine emotion, gratitude, peace, joy, confidence, it becomes charged with creative energy. This is why people who try to manifest often fail. They may say affirmations, they may visualize, but if their inner state remains cold or uncertain, the result is silence. You cannot out-talk your feelings. You may speak 1,000 times about abundance, but if you feel lack, lack will continue to show up. You may speak of love, but if you feel unworthy, love will seem always out of reach. Feeling is the language the universe understands. It does not decode empty words. It responds to the vibration of belief. And belief is felt more than it is thought. When you begin to truly feel the reality of what you desire, something shifts within you. You carry yourself differently. Your choices change. Your tone changes. Even your body begins to align with this new emotional state. And all of these inner movements are signals that you have already accepted the thing you want as yours. This is not pretending, it is embodying. Pretending implies that it's not real, that you're only acting. Embodying, on the other hand, means you've taken it into your being. You are not waiting for proof. The feeling itself is your proof. Practice feeling the end result of your desire, not the process, not the in-between steps, but the end. If your desire is financial freedom, feel the relief of no longer worrying about money. Feel the ease of spending freely, the confidence of giving generously. If it's love, feel the safety and warmth of being loved deeply. Feel the joy of waking up next to someone who truly sees you. These feelings must become natural to you, habitual even, because that is when they begin to harden into fact. What most don't realize is that you can feel something into existence. Your feelings are creative. They are generative. They build. Every time you return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are strengthening the roots of your new reality. You may not see changes immediately, but beneath the surface, the shift has begun. The outer world is always slower, but it must catch up to the energy you have activated within. To feel is to claim. To feel is to create. And the stronger, more consistent the feeling, the quicker the manifestation. The moment you fully accept the feeling of having it, the universe starts to move in your favor. Resources align. People appear. Opportunities arise. All because you flipped the switch. Because you dared to feel it before it arrived. And in that act, you declared it done. To assume the state of the wish fulfilled is to live inwardly as though your desire is already a fact. It is not about hoping, wanting, or waiting. It is about shifting your identity mentally and emotionally into the version of yourself who already has what you once sought. This is the true essence of creation. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. And what you are is determined by the state you dwell in. Every state carries with it a mood, a tone, a way of thinking, speaking, and acting. The moment you enter a new state, you begin to behave differently, effortlessly. You don't need to force action when you've truly assumed a state. Your actions flow naturally from your new self-concept. This is why assuming the wish, fulfill, is the most powerful inner movement you can make. When you truly believe it is done, your behavior, choices, and energy align with that truth without struggle. Think of a person who desires to be wealthy. If they continue to think of themselves as poor, if they speak and act from lack, if they dwell in fear and insecurity, then wealth remains distant, no matter how much effort they exert. But if that same person begins to assume the state of someone who is already financially free, feeling abundant, thinking confidently, moving with ease, then reality begins to mirror that assumption. The world must conform to the state you consistently occupy, and this principle is not limited by logic or circumstances. You could be surrounded by evidence to the contrary. But once you assume a new state and persist in it, the outer world will eventually yield. It may seem impossible, but that's only because the mind is trained to look outward for confirmation. True creation begins with inward confirmation. The outer is always the shadow. The inner is the cause. You do not need to know how it will happen. The state you assume has its own path, its own connections, and its own chain of events. Your only responsibility is to fully occupy that state now. When you close your eyes and picture your wish fulfilled, feel what that version of you feels. Speak to yourself as they would. Think their thoughts. Carry yourself as they would. Walk, talk, and breathe. You are not pretending. You are becoming. This inner assumption is not a one-time act. It is a way of being. If doubts arise, return to the state. If the world contradicts it, ignore the noise and hold fast. The state is your reality. Everything else is temporary illusion. Persistence in the state leads to its embodiment. And embodiment brings manifestation. The power of this principle lies in its simplicity. You do not need to beg or bargain with the universe. You simply need to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and dwell in that state with faith. The universe is impersonal. It reflects your inner state with perfect precision. If you can maintain the feeling that it is already done, your world will reorganize to support that truth. There is no external permission required. You are the only authority in your world. When you take ownership of your state, when you claim the thing desired as already yours in consciousness, the outer world will have no choice but to reflect that claim. The moment you assume the state of the wish fulfilled, you begin to write a new script for your life. It becomes your new foundation. And from that foundation, all things begin to change. Persistence is a silent force that turns invisible desires into visible realities. It is not enough to imagine once, to feel once, or to assume a new state for a moment and then return to your former self. Reality bends not to fleeting wishes, but to steady, unwavering inner conviction. The world outside you is dense, slow-moving, and rooted in past assumptions. To reshape it, you must be relentless in holding the vision of your new life. You must persist until reality has no choice but to conform. Persistence is not about force or physical effort. It is about holding firm in the unseen, especially when nothing outside of you supports it. It's easy to believe when things are going well, but true power is revealed when you choose to remain faithful to your vision in the face of contradiction. This is the test, and those who pass it are the ones who watch reality begin to yield. Your current circumstances are merely echoes of past thoughts and feelings. They are not permanent, they are not immovable, but they will try to convince you they are the truth. This is where most people give up. They look at what is and forget what they've imagined. They let the outer world dictate their inner state, and in doing so, they delay their own transformation. But those who persist, who close their eyes to appearances and continue to dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, eventually witness the outer world rearrange itself. Persistence is the quiet determination to stay in the state no matter what, to return to it again and again, to live in the feeling of already done even when no evidence appears. This is not delusion, this is creation. The unseen is more real than the seen, for it is the unseen that shapes the seen. Your job is not to force results or rush the timeline. Your only task is to maintain your inner assumption with faith and repetition. Every time you return to your vision, every time you feel the end result, every time you reaffirm the truth of your desire, whether silently or aloud, you are bending reality. You are pushing past the inertia of the old and creating momentum toward the new. You may not see the effects immediately, but change is already underway. Just as seeds sprout beneath the soil long before the flower appears, your persistent inner state is generating unseen movement. Many give up just before the breakthrough. They say it's not working, that nothing's happening. But this statement alone is a withdrawal of belief. It is a return to the old state, and the old state reclaims its power. But if you can persist, if you can continue in the new assumption without needing proof, then proof will arrive. Often, suddenly, often in ways you didn't expect. The world bends when you refuse to bend your inner state. Persistence is a decision. It's a quiet stand you take each day. This is who I am. This is what I have. This is what I believe. And when you make that stand repeatedly, no matter the noise around you, the universe listens. It listens not to what you ask for once, but to what you dwell in continually. Your dominant state wins every time. You do not need to be perfect. You only need to return to your chosen state more often than you fall away from it. That alone creates the shift. That alone builds the bridge. Keep imagining, keep feeling, keep assuming. Let the outer world say what it wants. You are not here to react, you are here to create. And if you persist long enough, the outer world will catch up. Reality will bend, and the life you once imagined will stand before you as fact. One of the greatest secrets to manifestation is detaching from the how and the when. This does not mean giving up on your desire or pretending it doesn't matter. It means releasing control over the mechanism and the timing of its arrival. The moment you plant a seed in consciousness, your only responsibility is to nurture the state of the wish fulfilled. The process of how it will come to be and when it will appear is not your concern. That belongs to the unseen intelligence that governs all creation. When you become overly focused on how something will happen, you are stepping outside the creative process and back into limitation. The human mind wants to predict, calculate, and force outcomes. It wants to see the steps ahead before it believes. But true manifestation does not operate in this way. Creation begins in the unseen, in the invisible world of thought, emotion, and assumption. If you try to manage the method and the timeline, you interfere with the natural flow. You choke the process with doubt and resistance. Your role is not to figure things out. Your role is to live in the end, to dwell in the state where your desire is already real. From that state, all necessary actions and circumstances will unfold. The path may come through unexpected people, places, or ideas. It may bypass everything you thought was possible. But that is the beauty of detachment. It allows for miracles. When you stop insisting that things happen a certain way, you open yourself to better ways than you could ever plan. The moment you begin asking, when will it happen, or how is it going to come, you are subtly affirming that it is not already done. This internal dialogue creates distance between you and your desire. It places your manifestation in the future, when the true work is to feel and accept it in the now. The universe responds to your inner conviction, not your outer questions. When you rest in the feeling of already having it, the how and when become irrelevant. Detachment is not passivity, it is power. It is the confidence to know that once you have imagined, assumed, and felt it is done, you have set a law into motion. There is nothing more to do but remain faithful. Do not dig up the sea to check its progress. Let it unfold naturally. Let the timing be perfect. Sometimes delays are not denials, but divine arrangements working behind the scenes to deliver more than you expected. Trust the process, even when you cannot see the movement. So many dreams are delayed not because they are impossible, but because the mind keeps interfering. Doubt creeps in, the need for control rises. You begin to measure time and question results. But none of that is necessary when you truly believe. Belief makes waiting irrelevant. In belief, you are no longer waiting. You are preparing. You walk, speak, and think from the place where it is already yours. That state of being is what magnetizes the outer to reflect your inner conviction. Detach, not because you don't care, but because you trust. Detach, not because you give up, but because you've already claimed it within. The how will reveal itself in perfect alignment. The when will arrive when your inner world has become a match. Do not look outward for signs. Become the sign within. Your unwavering peace, your calm expectancy, and your continued faith are the signals that the work is done. When you master detachment, you master manifestation. You move with quiet assurance, knowing that what is yours cannot be denied. It must come, it must take form, and in its perfect way and perfect time, it will. Every outer change begins with an inner movement. This is a truth often overlooked, yet it is the cornerstone of conscious creation. Your external world is nothing more than a reflection of your internal state, your thoughts, feelings, assumptions, and beliefs. When something shifts within you, when a new idea is accepted as true, when a new feeling becomes dominant, the world outside starts to realign itself. Circumstances may appear to move on their own, people may behave differently, opportunities may arise unexpectedly, but all of it is a direct echo of your inner change. To move inwardly means to accept something as real within yourself before there is any proof of it. It means to adopt a new identity, a new emotional atmosphere, regardless of current facts. This is not fantasy or denial. It is deliberate creation. When you move inwardly into the feeling of abundance, love, success, or health, you are causing a ripple through the invisible layers of reality. That ripple eventually reaches the physical world and reshapes it in your favor. Many believe that change must come from action alone. They think if they work harder, push more, or do something drastic in the outer world, then things will finally improve. But without an inner shift, even the most intense outer effort can fall flat. Why? Because the outer world is not primary, it is secondary. It only reflects what you are consistently feeling and assuming to be true within. If the inner state remains the same, the outer must return to its old form, no matter how much is done externally. You've experienced this many times, perhaps without realizing it. Think about a moment in your life when you made up your mind about something. You didn't just wish for it, you knew it was done. Maybe you finally decided to walk away from a toxic relationship. Maybe you suddenly felt worthy of better treatment, better pay, or a better life. And somehow, without any big announcement or plan, your outer world began to shift. People reacted differently to you. Circumstances fell into place. That is inner movement producing outer change. This inner movement is subtle yet powerful. It begins as a new idea, a new decision. It becomes a new feeling, a resonance that you carry with you into every moment. The world responds not to your words or appearances, but to this unseen vibration. You don't need to beg or chase anything. When you change your inner state, what once seemed impossible begins to unfold naturally. What is essential to understand is that inner movement is a continuous process. It is not enough to feel a change once and then forget it. You must live from it. You must return to that new state over and over, especially when the old reality tries to reassert itself. Do not be discouraged by delays. Delay is not denial. It is the natural time it takes for the new inner movement to solidify and echo outward. You are always moving internally, whether you know it or not. Every thought you dwell on, every feeling you entertain, every assumption you accept is a movement. The key is to make these movements conscious. Choose the direction of your inner attention. Choose the reality you wish to experience and dwell in its feeling. You do not need to see results immediately. The seed does not sprout the moment it is planted, but it will grow if nurtured. And the nurturing happens through inner alignment. Your outer world cannot resist your inner transformation forever. Eventually, it must reflect what you have accepted within. When you hold a new state long enough, with enough conviction and repetition, the old must dissolve. The universe does not argue, it mirrors. And when you move inside with power and clarity, the world has no choice but to move with you. The decision to believe is the single most powerful choice you can make in the process of manifestation. It is not merely wishful thinking or hoping that something might happen. It is a conscious, deliberate, and absolute acceptance that what you desire is already yours. This inner conviction sets everything in motion. Until belief is chosen, nothing truly begins. All techniques, visualizations, and affirmations remain hollow without the spark of belief to give them life. The moment you decide to believe, you ignite a force that begins to organize the universe around your new truth. Belief is not something you wait to feel. It is something you choose. It does not arise because of external validation. In fact, it must often come in the absence of any proof. That's what makes it so powerful. It is the invisible agreement you make with your future self. You declare, without needing to see, that it is already done, and once you decide to believe, your inner world rearranges itself. Your thoughts begin to align with the new state. Your emotions shift. Your behavior subtly changes, and the external world has no choice but to follow. So many people delay their manifestations because they are waiting to believe. They say, I believe it when I see it. But creation doesn't work that way. Seeing follows believing. Reality responds to the conviction within you. If you hesitate, if you remain uncertain, the outer world reflects that same uncertainty back to you. But if you stand firm in belief, even when everything outside says otherwise, you become the cause of a new effect. The universe bends to unwavering inner certainty. This decision to believe is not based on logic. It often defies reason. It rises from the core of your being as a quiet, unshakable knowing. You may still have doubts in the background, but the decision to believe overrides them. It becomes your anchor. Each time the mind wants to question, you return to your decision. You don't argue with a doubt. You don't try to analyze it away. You simply reaffirm. I've already decided to believe. This becomes your inner command, your silent declaration. Belief transforms your perception. What once seemed out of reach now feels familiar. You begin to interpret events differently. What used to look like obstacles now appear as stepping stones. Your senses become tuned to possibilities, not problems. Opportunities begin to surface and synchronicities appear. But none of this starts until you believe. Belief unlocks the door. It tells the universe, I am ready. and the universe responds accordingly. People often ask, how do I know if I truly believe? The answer is simple. Look at how you feel. Belief brings peace. It replaces striving with certainty. You stop chasing and start preparing. You don't ask if it will happen. You ask how to live now that it's done. Your energy becomes magnetic. Your words carry authority. Your actions stem from inner knowing rather than outer pressure. This is the power of belief. It redefines you from the inside out. The truth is, belief is a decision you can make at any moment. You don't have to wait for a special sign or a moment of clarity. You can choose it right now. You can declare silently within yourself, I believe it is done. That single choice holds more power than 1,000 hours of uncertainty. Everything begins from belief, because belief is what makes the unseen real in your experience. When you decide to believe, you take command of your reality. You are no longer a passive observer, you are an active creator. And the moment you make that choice, everything begins to move. Your inner world shifts, the outer world follows, and what once seemed distant begins to approach with certainty and speed. The decision to believe is the catalyst, and once it's made, the rest unfolds naturally. When you finally understand that the universe moves not through effort, struggle, or chance, but through your inner alignment, you awaken to your true power. Everything you've ever wanted begins not outside of you, but within you. It starts with imagination, is ignited by feeling, and is sustained by the unwavering assumption that it is already done. You must persist with faith, detach from control, shift your inner state, and above all, decide to believe without needing external proof. The universe is not random, it is responsive. It mirrors your inner world with precision. The moment you move within, truly, deliberately, and consistently, the outer world has no choice but to bend to your will. Reality does not resist a mind that knows what it wants and a heart that feels it is done. So stop waiting for signs. Become the sign. The shift in your world will not come from the outside in. It will come the moment you do this. Move first within, and the universe will move for you.